A lot of crazy stuff going on right now. Find myself extremely internally conflicted, which is surely the goal. I've been saying for a while now that just voting harder in the next election may not be enough. That when people are legitimately cheating to win, you kind of gonna have to kick their foot out from under them while they're running or something, or lure them into a punji pit to their doom. I hope you understand my euphemism. So the current thing that's going on is clearly an attempt to rile people up. But the problem is, if they succeed in their goal, they will have undermined the entire process of electing leadership, meaning this will no longer be a democratic republic. There will be no democracy here whatsoever. And if we are not adequately represented by people that we selected, it is no longer a republic either. So what are we supposed to do? Meantime, they're starting to arrest reporters who reported on January 6th. Owen Schroyer was urging people to not go inside the Capitol at January 6th. He just got out of prison for that. So there is no justice anymore. There is no equal application of the law anymore. And the elections are no longer remotely real. In such a situation, our Constitution is actually very clear. And its basis, the document which gives the Constitution any authority whatsoever, is the Declaration of Independence, which specifically outlines a list that includes, but is not limited to, all of the things that England was doing to the colonies at the time. Many of those things are also being done right now. The Declaration of Independence states very clearly as well that the authority to govern is based on the consent of the governed. What this means is you and me and everyone else has a social contract to abide by laws, and we will all get along for the betterment of each other, right? It's a go along to get along kind of thing. But when those laws are not applied evenly, when justice is interrupted, when democracy is undermined, the consent of the governed must be revoked in order to exercise our constitutional rights to prevent tyranny from governing our country. Revoking the consent of the governed means no longer obeying when ordered or told that is the law or whatever. The people who work for the government are just armed thugs now. A lot of people argue they have been for a long time. I'm not going to get into that. As of now, the last several months certainly, and moving forward, we the governed, we the people, need to refuse to comply with anything the government says. That is what revoking the consent of the governed means. This means if they send cops to arrest a person, everyone get in the way of the cops arresting that person. If the cops order you to stand down, you order them to stand down. You inform them the consent of the governed has been revoked. They are no longer performing lawful activities. The entire justification and basis for all law enforcement, period, is that they are enforcing the law. But when the consent of the governed is revoked, the law no longer has any power, and they have nothing to enforce but tyranny. Oh, you sound like some Tea Party guy, blah, blah. No. What I sound like is a rational person who cares about his freedom getting fed up and wishing that everyone else who should be noticing this would also get fed up too. Because the longer we sit back and say, well, look, man, they want us to act out. They want us to do a thing. That's what they want. Well, no, what they want is what we're doing, which is to sit and wait and be patient, trust some phantom fucking plan or whatever, and not give them what they want. But what they want is our docile compliance, which is what not doing anything about it is. Docile compliance. Because then if a cop comes around and says, look, man, I need you to do the thing, what did I just say about revoking the consent of the governed? But instead these people, I don't want any trouble. It's cowardice. My great grandfather fought in the American Revolution for our freedom. Several of my great grandfathers fought in World War II against the Nazis. We may not be able to stage a revolt. That may not be feasible, and I get that. But what each and every American citizen can and must do at this time is get armed, and not some little pea shooter. Something capable of doing some god damage. And then keep it at your home or on you wherever you go. And if tyrannical law enforcement shows up and says, hey, we heard you said things against the government, we're going to need you to come with us, you must kill as many of them as possible before you perish. Each and every one of us must do that. Be prepared to do that. I am already. Not any hope of winning, not any chance of vanquishing 1v100, right? Because that's not realistic. That's really not realistic. What is realistic and completely logistical in this scenario is that eventually they will run out of law enforcement who are willing to risk their lives over some bullshit, people who know that what they're doing is wrong. They will run out of resources because the expense of the bullets, of replacing how many men died, of all of their equipment that got damaged, compensating families for the loss of their loved ones, lawsuits pending, all of that. They will run out of resources and run out of people fairly quickly if they start doing that. Anytime. Now, I didn't draw a gun on the sheriff's deputy who came here to serve me with divorce papers because I had a feeling that that was what he was there for. He certainly didn't show up and say, we have a warrant. But if you happen to notice a raid at your house because you are some type of patriotic person, my advice to you is to shoot first and ask for a warrant later. Because at this point, the consent of the governed should be revoked. The authority to rule should be null, along with the rule of law, null and void. Oh, we are a country of laws. No, mindless obedience to laws is statism. But it is not liberty. It is not freedom. We all also need to be getting a hold of our representatives and our governors and letting them know that they need to condemn what is going on in Colorado and any other state where they're attempting to do the same. That is a contradiction of the fundamental principle on which our country was founded. We the people, our right to govern, of the people, for the people, by the people. This means the people select the leadership, not people who want to cheat to win, people who say anyone but that guy, he's wrecking our plan. The people who have a plan getting wrecked by that guy, should be dangling from ropes, or they should be bleeding out somewhere. Oh, this is such a strong sentiment, man. I don't know. This is what people with no balls, no spine, no guts would be saying. I don't think so. I'm scared. I want you to imagine the horror that people in third world countries go through every single day. Can you fathom what it is like to wake up and wonder if rape gangs are going to get you, if roving bandits are going to get you, if the government is going to get you, if a civil war bomb fight is going to get you? And if you're just so nicely comfortable where you sit there and have your cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, surf on your phone, and not really have to worry about it, you are taking it for granted, because one day they will come for you too, here. Which is why you must be prepared. The more people that are armed to the teeth and at least capable of firing with some accuracy, you don't have to be trained in rifle drills. What you need is 230 million bristling with weapons Americans. Because then the government wouldn't even begin to think about doing the kind of shit that they're doing right now if literally everyone was ready to rock. They couldn't do anything. We could say, nope, we're going to have an election. It's going to be fair. The candidates that we want to be on the ballot will be on the ballot, and anybody who tries to stop that will cease to be. I am not advocating forming any kind of groups or militias. Those are clearly going to be infiltrated by law enforcement or government counterintelligence, confidential informants. Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping. Out of the 24 people, 6 of them were legitimately involved, and the other freaking 18 were feds, cops, undercovers. They entrapped these people. That's why they were acquitted. The case was dismissed because it was clearly a setup, and these people were not in a position to do anything beforehand, nor were they of the inclination until someone pushed them to it. So, no, don't organize. Don't get on Discord or any other chat room or anything online anywhere and discuss what should be done. This even here is pushing it. Do not discuss any of that online. Do not discuss any of that in front of your device with a camera and a microphone attached to it. Do not take direct action. I mean, if someone's going to do it, they're going to do it. And I'll be honest, there's a few people that, they will never, literally, they will never come here to where I live. They won't come here. It's not important enough. There is nothing for them to gain by coming here. They will not come here. Their stupid ass bus train will not come through on the highway. Doubtful they'd even fly over at high altitude. If they did, probably do something, but they won't. They won't come here. None of them are coming here. Anyone who is a serious problem, they will send other people to campaign on their behalf, right? Hillary Clinton had fundraisers in my town, but she never came to my town, because if she had come to my town, I would have done something about it. Back in like 2015, I would have done something about it. They're not coming here. No one of consequence that needs to be acted against or upon will ever come to where I'm at, okay? And I'm not going to Colorado because I don't live in Colorado. I have to deal with what's going on here. Now, if the state of Iowa was to decide that Donald Trump won't be on the ballot, and you know what? Not just Trump, any candidate, if they decide to disqualify a popular candidate from the election to alter the outcome of the election, then as an Iowan, it would be my duty civically to venture forth, as should any other Iowan who gives the slightest shit about their rights, about freedom, about democracy, and about a republic that fairly represents and serves its people. Good government, right? If you care about that, you need to let your representatives know. The problem is, the more vocal and aggressive you get, especially on the phone or in email with these people, remember, they can track you. They can totally figure out where you're at any given time. But they do at the same time need to be informed that you should be condemning this because that's a bad thing. And if you're not, we know that you're on the side of the bad guys. Days coming. The people in Colorado, I don't even know what to tell you, man. I can't even imagine what I would do if I thought that my own political party was doing everything it could to undermine the will of the people that was going to hose America in the long run, but they got some stupid psychotic, no, anyone but him. I would kind of almost, if I lived there, put them all down. Euthanized. Right? Because they're clearly diseased in the brain, right? If you had a dog with rabies that was just sitting there drooling on the floor and trying to bite stuff and not doing anything sensible, you'd have to put it down. And the people that are undermining our democracy are effectively rabid in that sense. But people that aren't from Colorado shouldn't necessarily go there. It was mentioned on Toomcast IRL last night that this could be the new Bleeding Kansas, the actual violence that really kind of opens the door for the rest of a civil war. And understand it ain't going to be like it was before. And understand before, too, even you had states that were part of the thing, but you had just little veins that were cut through the states where armies were dominating through and then taking a specific fort for a battle. They didn't necessarily hold the entire state. But what it will come to is something more like what you see in these third world countries that I've already mentioned. There is just going to be random partisan violence everywhere. And there may be nothing we can do about it, right? So if the random partisan violence does occur, it would be in line to work on purging the problem from our society, the people who keep enabling this tyranny, the people who are in favor of this tyranny. I remember people asking me about, well, what do you mean? You mean you actually think that the thing on January 6th was a good thing? Well, no, I think it was a government trap. I've been saying that from go. From moment number one, I've been saying it, and then people, oh, conspiracy theories. No, it's clearly true. It's clearly true. I'm still clearly batting 1,000. It is up to the people of Colorado to take care of the problem in Colorado and get a new government there, because clearly there's a problem. And if such a problem was arising here, it would be up to I and every other Iowan to do the same here. I guess what I'm saying is, if they come knocking, open fire. If civil war partisan violence occurs here, if you're there and it's happening, you have two primary subjects to consider. Number one is corrupt law enforcement, okay? Because during this time, there's going to be one side that's allowed to run wild and another side that's going to be persecuted. So the best thing to do is anonymously at a distance, because I know you all got rifles with scopes, lay out the Leos. Oh, we can't. No, tyrants. You have to get your head in the right space. And then after you've laid them out, lay out all the people that they were allowing to run amok, because those people are part of the problem. When all of those people are gone, we may begin to have discourse about reforming the union, about rebuilding government, and about eliminating future chances of corruption. But until the useful idiots, the demoralized people who cannot be fixed, once you're demoralized, it's permanent. The people who don't know what's right and wrong, the people who don't care what's right and wrong, the people who just go along to get along, even though it's clearly wrong. Once they're gone, then we can start working on building this more perfect union into something that is fair and free, where the elections are real, where the government actually governs fairly and represents accurately. Until that point, at this time, there can be no consent of the governed. The government being corrupt, being undermined, being run by people who honestly don't have a right to be there because the elections are not fair at this time. Those people we should not be listening to, we should not be heeding, we should not be obeying. And if they attempt to stop us in our freedom, it's better to die fighting. That's what I got. But don't go out and attack. You think, oh, cowardice. No. The people who say do nothing are cowards. You must be prepared to defend with your life. And if tyrants come knocking on your door, you must get rid of as many of them as possible before you go down. Because then the next person that they try and go after, they will have that fewer people on their team, that less resources. I don't want to say that much because much implies more. There will be fewer people and fewer resources if that happens, and other people will have seen what happened to you, and you will become a martyr. Just imagine every person that goes down in a fiery blaze rather than accept tyranny will become Obi-Wan Kenobi to a Luke Skywalker somewhere else.